Hello everyone and welcome to my Dead by Daylight tips and tricks for survivors. Now these are just some tips and tricks that I picked up while playing the game, and I hope they help you out. To get us started, let's go over perks. I'm going to be reading off the perk name and what the perk does and why I enjoy using it. The first perk is Premonition. The description reads, you will have the undeniable capability to sense danger. Get an auditory warning when looking in the direction of the killer in a 45-degree cone within 24 meters. Premonition has a cooldown of 45 seconds each time it activates. Premonition trumps any of the killer's stealth abilities. I like Premonition because it gives you an auditory warning whenever you are looking within a 45-degree angle of the killer. That sound is pretty hard to ignore, and it gives me a general idea that, hey, the killer is near. I need to either hurry up and finish this generator, or I need to go hide. The next perk varies from match to match depending on which killer I think I'm going up against. Sometimes I like to use Slippery Meat. You have developed an efficient way to get out of bear traps and hooks. Increases by 5% the speed at which you attempt to free yourself from the bear traps and hooks. I like this perk because, well, when going up against a trapper, you kind of need it to get out of bear traps efficiently. Another perk that I enjoy using, especially on Dwight, is Leader. The description reads, you're able to organize a team to cooperate more efficiently. Increases the other survivors' repair, healing, and sabotage speeds by 3% when they are within an 8-meter range from you. I like this perk because it's all about speed. And when it comes to this game, whether you're healing, repairing generators, or taking down hooks, you need speed. The last perk that I would alternate between with my second perk is Prove Thyself. The description reads, receive an incremental speed boost to repair, healing, and sabotage actions when other survivors are within an 8-meter range. One nearby survivor grants 2% increased speed, 2 nearby survivors grants 4 increased speed, and 3 nearby survivors grants 6 increased speed. Now, I like this perk because it's just like the Leader perk, but this one you can gain special boosts to, so you're not just stuck at 3%. Now you're probably wondering, but Criaden, why would you use Leader if you've got Prove Thyself? Doesn't it give better shit? Well, shut up, I'm getting to that. Well, yes, Prove Thyself does have a better overall boost for more people. You're not guaranteed to get 3 or 2 people on a generator at a time along with yourself. At least with Leader, you have a little bit more of a leeway. The last perk I like using is called Spine Chill. The description reads, an unnatural tingle warns you of impending doom. Get notified when the killer is looking directly in your direction and standing within a 24-meter range. While Spine Chill is active, skill check triggers odds are increased by 10% with success zones reduced by 10%. While Spine Chill is active, your repair, heal, and sabotage speeds are increased by 4%. This perk is also really good if you're trying to juke out the killer, because then you know the killer is still looking at you or not because of the little icon that flashes up on your screen. That covers perks. Let's move on to items. As for items, there's not really much I can recommend. The toolbox is nice because it helps make sabotaging hooks and repairing generators go by a lot faster. The map is nice because it helps show where the generators are, but in the game you can really figure that out on your own. It can also tick off which generators you have passed and will give you the ability to track them within an 8-meter range. The first aid kit is really good because it lets you heal yourself and increases all healing speeds. The flashlight is okay, I guess. It only works out really well if you have extreme accuracy, because the only way it works is to point it in the killer's face. If you point it right, it will blind the killer temporarily, which, if you're getting chased and can't manage to juke him out, is helpful, but again, it requires extreme accuracy. Out of all of the items, I prefer to use the first aid kit and the toolbox, as I feel they are the most useful, at least to me. There is another item that I haven't gone over yet, and that is the skeleton key. Now, I do not know much about the skeleton key. I have never gotten it, so I can't really speak from experience. A few friends have told me that it lets you unlock the escape hatch early, but that's as far as my knowledge of it goes. The add-ons I am not going to go over. Those are going to vary depending on which ones you have and which item you are using. Offerings are also kind of difficult to go over because everyone varies. Personally, I prefer to use the ones that darken the area around me and thicken the mist. This is just me. I like to be able to, confuse the killer and not get seen. The blood web is going to be your main source of items, offerings, perks, and add-ons. To work on the blood web, you're going to need blood points. To get blood points, you must complete matches. Whether you win or lose, you will get blood points for something. It may not be a lot, but you will get something, as long as you don't disconnect. If you disconnect from a match, you will not earn any blood points. The blood web works differently now than it did when the game first came out. Now, after buying 5 things off of the blood web, this black mist, known as the entity, will come over and start taking over things you have not bought. Make sure, as soon as you get the blood web, that you go for the item or perk or whatever that you want, because there is a chance that you will lose it. Now we move on to character customization. My main is Dwight. Now, when you're playing this game, you don't want to be seen, so you're going to want to wear darker items. In fact, that's actually why some people main Jake or Claudette, as they are of darker skin. Okay, so, you've learned the basics about items, perks, offerings, and customizing your character and the blood web. So, you think you're ready to play the game, huh? Well, you're not. You're gonna get fucked. Really, really, really hard. Especially if it's your first time. But, that's why I'm here. Your main objective of this game is to activate the 5 generators and escape the killer. To activate a generator, you must hold the mouse 1 button and be ready to push space, as specific things called skill checks pop up on just about everything you do. Skill checks can either hinder or help you. Skill checks basically are this little tick mark that comes up that you must time exactly right. Okay, well, not exactly. You have a little bit of leeway, but you want to try and go for the white spot, because if you hit it in the white little area there, you will gain a little bit of a boost, and they will get you more blood points. And blood points are the key to blood webs, and blood webs are the key to perks, and perks are the key to winning. The killer will be able to hear you messing around with the generator. Basically, any sounds that you hear, the killer can hear. So you need to be careful. The killer will be able to hear you clunking around with the generator and hearing it start up. And I will tell you, it's loud as fuck. So be ready. Now, this is a mistake I make on a regular basis, but it's one that you can avoid. Do not run unless you have to. If you run, a bunch of lines will appear on the ground behind you that you can't see, but the killer can. This is normally how the killer will try and track you. If the killer starts chasing you, don't panic. Panicking is what'll get you fucked in this game. Just try and juke him out. Now, I say just try and juke him out, but it's not as easy as I make it sound. You can juke out the killer multiple ways. One of the most common ways is to tip over one of the pallets of wood and slide over it. However, know that the killer can break the pallets, and if he breaks them, you can no longer use them that game. Another common way to escape the killer is to hop around ledges. Now, you can just do a quick little slide over the ledges, and that'll normally do the trick if you can find a hiding spot relatively quick. The downside, though, to some of these is that if the killer is close, he can grab you while you are sliding on a ledge, and if he grabs you, you are immediately incapacitated. Now, if you get incapacitated, whether it's by sliding or just getting hit by the killer twice, there are ways to get out of it. One way to get out of it is to wiggle. An option on the screen will come up that tells you to press the A and D buttons on your keyboard. Do not spam them too fast, but spam them fast enough. You gotta find the sweet spot. If you spam them correctly for a long enough time, a little meter will show up. Once that meter is full, the killer will drop you and look down at the ground. This is your chance to escape. Hopefully, he will drop you near some grass so that you can hide and not have to run. Because if you run, the tick marks will show up and he will just be right back on your trail. Unfortunately, if you can't wiggle free, you will be placed on a hook. Now, you do have an option to get off the hook, but this really isn't recommended. If you struggle with the mouse 1 button and try to get off the hook, your little survivor meter or stamina meter will start to go down. You can only do this about 3 times. It depends how quickly you are placed on the hook and how fast you can actually push the button. The most logical thing to do if you're on a hook is just wait. If the killer isn't a giant asshole, he will walk away in hopes of finding another person to kill. If you're lucky, a survivor will nearby and take you off of the hook. So, we've covered the generators and we've covered being hooked or chased by the killer. What do you do now? After all 5 generators are activated, 2 exits will pop up. Both will light up on your screen for a short amount of time, so try to keep track of whichever one you feel like going for. But be wary, because the killer will see both exit signs pop up as well, and he will be able to see them for the remainder of the game. Once you get to a gate, you're going to have to hold the mouse 1 button down on the gate controls to open it. You will not be able to move, and you will only be able to look around, so make sure that you are looking for the killer. Once the gates open, feel free to run through. You're home free. However, if by the off chance all the survivors around you die, or you happen to find it, there is another option to escape. It is known as the escape hatch, or the trapdoor, depending on who you're talking to. Sometimes, depending on how close you are to it, especially with a generator, you will be able to hear the trapdoor open. If you can hear it, you might as well look for it, because you will gain a few more blood points for using the trapdoor, and an achievement if you haven't already gotten it. If you're crawling into the trapdoor, be careful, because the killer can grab you while you're going into it, and that would just fuck up your day. So, we've talked about surviving and everything, but what about the killers you're going to be up against? The first killer I'm going to go over is the Trapper. He is by far the most difficult to get away from. What makes him difficult is that he can place bear traps all around the map, and if you get caught in one, your character screams and makes a little notification that the killer can see. The second killer is known as the Wraith. The Wraith is by far the easiest to get away from. What makes him so easy is that he can turn invisible. That's right, he can turn invisible. Now, that sounds like it would really fuck up your day, but whenever he turns invisible, a bunch of bells play. These bells kinda help you get a sense of where he is. He also has to turn uninvisible. To turn uninvisible, the bells play again, and if he's right by you, they're gonna be fucking loud. So that gives you a chance to run away. The third killer, which as of right now is the final, is known as the Hillbilly. He is by far the most fun to play as, because he has a chainsaw. Now, when he activates this chainsaw, he can run in one straight-ish general direction. It makes him really easy to avoid, but if he hits you, you're instantly incapacitated. So you win some, you lose some. It's really easy to get away from him because he can only go in one general direction. I mean, if he's running straight at you and you take a sharp left, he won't be able to keep up. He makes very gradual turns. Well, that about covers it. There's not much more to go over. The rest of the mechanics and everything, you'll be able to learn as you play the game. Now, you'll probably die your first few times and not gain any points or whatever. And that's fine. This game is definitely not the easiest to play. You're playing against a killer who actually knows what they're doing most of the time. Well, I mean, unless you're lucky, which I definitely am not if you've seen any of my streams. But that's about it. The only way you're really going to be able to pick up on the game is to play it. So, hopefully these tips help you out. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you think the video was any sort of good, please leave a like. If you think it's trash, let me know. I do enjoy some criticism, unless you're a dick about it. Then don't even bother. Fuck you up. Thanks for watching, guys.